It's my little slice of paradise, chasing down what's mine and I don't think twice. little slice of paradise. So much time has passed since I broke down all my walls. Didn't think that I could do it, but I had to make the call. Give up on all my dreams or go balls to the wall. You won't learn how to walk if you don't know how to fall. Dug myself out of the dark pit I was in. Only one thing on my mind, yeah, I got that drive to win. Focus on my goals, yeah, I'm taking back control. Feeling pretty comfy now, I got them Dr. Scholl's. Running through this life like this shit's a fucking race. But I ain't a follower, I wanna set the pace.
Dear friends, I chose women's empowerment as the theme of this episode. I believe that when women feel empowered to speak their truth and live their lives with the knowledge and tools they need to succeed, our whole society benefits. From financial freedom and creating wealth, to choosing whether or not to have children, to choosing any vocation or job that they wish, to creating one's own business. Women are stepping forward, finding their voices, and supporting one another like never before. But our ability to be independent is being threatened in many places in the US today, hearkening back to days that I never thought we would return to. We must continue to fight. So stand tall, women, like our feminine cannabis plants. We actually have within us the seeds of independence, abundance, wealth, our own healing, and joy. Welcome to the Wendy Love Edge Show, where plant medicine, music, art, wellness, and women's empowerment meet. This is Season 5, Episode 1, sponsored by Caris Healthcare, the RELEVNT app, and 131 Inclusion Gallery. Let's talk about women's empowerment. Love, Wendy.
Got music and movies, and friends and medicine. Yeah, is the show for me and you, the one you love to listen to. And ooh, you got your friends, see it through. See, 'cause laughter is medicine too. Said it's medicine too, babe.
I'm here in the backyard at Edge House with Robin Adair and Trisha Guting. Welcome.
Hello.
So this episode is about women's empowerment, and I thought you two were perfect because I see you as very empowered women. So I'm so happy you're here. So I thought first we could pull a tarot card and see kind of what direction the conversation should go in. Are you game for that?
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it. Do you want to pull it, Robin?
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
Let
All
you
right,
flip it.
let's see. Participation.
Oh. Wow.
Perfect, right? Are you ready to participate then?
Yes.
All right. So one thing I'm curious about, we'll start with you, Trisha. Did you have any role models growing up, women who were really empowered that impacted you and how you thought about yourself?
I did. I have very strong women in my family. My mother and both grandmothers. Probably not in the way that I would think about empowered women now, because they were all homemakers and mothers, but they made everything, you know. So it, you know, like all of our clothes, all of our food. My mom did all sorts of crafting and projects with my brother and I, and it seemed like if you could dream it, you could do it.
Nice.
Was the whole energy that they created in this world for me. So I always felt like, I'm the star of this world, of my world. So I think that helped a lot for me, to just know like we can be in this little microcosm, I guess, of sharing with each other and learning from each other.
Right.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they were teaching you self-reliance.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Which
Yeah.
is so valuable, especially with everything we've been through in the last year, to feel just at your core, because you grew up with it, that self-reliance was important. You probably could kick into gear and be fine,
Right.
in a lot of ways.
Right.
How about you, Robin?
Most of mine were on TV.
Okay.
The women in my family were fiery and strong,
Mm-hmm.
but they just didn't do anything with it. So we just
Right.
kind of all stayed at home, and they ruled the home front. But I looked to people like B. Arthur from Golden Girls.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
she had such a strong, commanding, knowledgeable presence, and I thought, I want to do that. That's the kind
Nice.
of lady I want to be.
Nice.
I wish I was taller. But.
TV can really do that. I know a lot of people are kind of, put down that medium, right? Or just regular television. How valuable is that? But when we're growing up, it's piped into the home, right? And so it's great that you can turn it on and see someone like B. Arthur, who had a history of showing strength,
Exactly,
right? How wonderful is that? So let's kind of go through the years, because I think so many things impact us when we're girls, right? There's the role models in front of us, but also, we start going to school, right? So what was your experience at school? Do you feel like they were teaching you as a girl to be self-reliant and empowered?
Not at all. Not at all. I remember specifically, I've actually talked about this a couple of times, how I was always really good at math, and
How great. That's unusual, right?
yeah, but I never got any support whatsoever. In fact, it was like the boys were the ones that do math.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, because she was so involved with my childhood, she would volunteer in class, so she saw that I was always getting like the top grades on tests, and kind of was like, where's the disconnect here?
Right.
Because they're getting awards, and they're getting
Sure.
complimented for what
Reinforcement.
they have achieved,
Right.
and I'm just sitting over here and no one's even like talking about it.
Wow.
So that was always one that just really
Mm-hmm.
stuck in my
I
head.
think it's really common. They expect the boys to be good at certain things and the girls to be good at certain things, and then they manifest that in a way,
Yeah.
right? To not recognize your strength, to me that's really short-sighted and ridiculous,
Absolutely.
Yeah. How about you? How did you see any help with understanding and feeling empowered as a girl in school?
Well, being the trans person in the town, I was so outside of being a boy or a girl. I was just this outsider looking at how everybody was being and behaving.
Oh, interesting.
And I could see that girls were like, this is how I'm supposed to be, and you go over there and be the boy that you're supposed to be, and I'm going to stay over here and play Susie Homemaker. But it was the few girls who didn't want to do that. They wanted to climb trees and roll in the dirt and things like that. And those were the girls I gravitated toward. And I wanted to know, how come you don't like the bows in your hair and dresses and stuff? Because they got in the way. They were not necessary,
Right.
not
right.
utilitarian. Did you feel that way?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember when the first classmate figured out you could put biker shorts under your skirt, and then you could still go
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
play.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without getting teased for your underwear showing.
And I wanted to do that so bad. It looked so cool.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of taught these roles and what clothing to wear, and we've learned so much now more about gender, where I hope that in schools it's looked at a little bit differently, because whatever gender you are, you should be able to choose what you want to wear, what activities you want to engage in, what subjects you're good at and want to pursue. How do we do that for the future young girls? How do we do that?
Like I said, education.
Okay, right.
Like, I think it's more up to parents and teachers to explain that we're humans, not you're a girl and this is expected of you, and you're a boy and this is expected of you. because it's like, go home and clean something, and you go off and save the world and pick up all the heavy stuff. And it's already so much pressure on these little lives that haven't even started.
Right.
To get going in that direction, and I didn't want to go in that direction.
Right. And yeah, so I think you're right. Educate, it's getting the school systems also to show young children, doesn't matter what gender they are, that there is opportunity everywhere, and it's not related to your gender. I don't know how to. I think it's education and working to help people understand.
I think it starts there, because with the generations that exist now, even my generation, there's still those sort of preset gender role ideas. I find myself falling into them all the time, being like, oh, well, that's not very ladylike. And being like, oh, who cares?
Right.
And
what is ladylike?
It doesn't matter. Ladylike who?
Right.
I'm not lady of some other place, something. I'm just like, there's no need for all that. I wish.
Right. Remember, there was a campaign a while back called "Like a Girl." Did you ever see that?
It sounds familiar.
Right,
like
like
it.
do you throw like a girl?
Right.
Oh,
you know,
that's cute.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Right. Throwing like a girl, or because lots of women athletes.
Throwing with compassion.
Is that what it is? I think in this campaign they were showing, when people say like a girl, and then showing a girl who could do these things really well, right? And so not making it like a negative thing. Right. Did you run into that in school, where you heard people say, even to boys, you're running like a girl?
Right. Or don't cry like a girl. Like,
right.
Yeah. Anything that was kind of weak or soft, like, just immediately gets assigned to girls. When, really, it's okay for people to cry. It's okay for people not to be athletic, and it's okay for a girl to be very strong and big and athletic.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't think that there's an easy answer to like teach people how not to have that mindset. I think it's a lead by example type of thing, because the more women that are like really, self-realized and fierce and like express themselves without, worrying about, or, like how you're saying, like even think about like why am I thinking this way about what a girl or what's feminine or ladylike? Like, it's important to stop yourself and think that, because why, and then do whatever you want to do, because you have no idea who's watching you. And there's going to be a little girl that's just like completely enamored.
Maybe maybe mind your manners and don't just, prop your leg open with a skirt on. Teach the young ladies how to stand.
Oh, I remember growing up and being told, make sure that you cover your knees. And, all these things, I'm still sitting with my ankles crossed.
But you couldn't say pregnant when you were growing up.
Couldn't say pregnant?
Yeah, well, not here.
Oh, I don't remember that where I'm from, but I believe it here in Arkansas. I can believe that. And so I think, talking about all these things with young people, hearing their opinions, giving them an opinion maybe they hadn't thought of, can really open minds. I think you're right. That's kind of the way, How about in relationships over the years? Have you had love relationships where you felt empowered or didn't, and what was the difference for you? Do you have any thoughts about that, Tricia?
That's a tough one.
It is, yeah.
I guess for me, for being straight, like I've always felt like obviously I'm the girl in the relationship, right. But that it's okay because I'm looking for that balance.
Okay.
And I've always, I carry my own bag. Like if I'm traveling with my husband, I'm gonna lift my own stuff. Like I want to do for myself because of how I was raised, but I do like to be, the pretty princess and like
sure.
get gifts and all
we
of
all
that.
do once in a while. Can you be empowered and still be the princess?
Oh, of course, absolutely. And but I try to do it back too, And so I think it's a little bit. I don't know. It's been different for me. I don't always see that in like, my other straight friends' marriages. I think that if you start to demand that you're the one that gets the better treatment, or you start to demand, like you're the weak one and I have to do all this for you. That's where it like starts to feel just like, you know, I'm not a whole person anymore. I'm just part of a unit that can't function without the other person.
Very
And that's
good point.
pretty useless.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, I think whatever your preference is sexually, you can have whatever role you want, you know. But I understand what you're saying. That balance, whatever it is, I think is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And feeling whole, I think, is important
Right.
too in the situation. How about you, Robin?
I'm always kind of a domineering monster.
Now, wait, I want to know, is that ladylike?
It is in heels. In my first serious relationship, I tried to do the more humble background role, you know, laundry and stuff, and then it just became this subservient sort of thing. It's like, you didn't do what's expected of you today. How come you're failing at being the girl? But yet he's gagging while he's taking out the trash, being the man. So,
Right.
where do we draw the line? Why do we need to draw a line? There doesn't need to be a line.
Right.
Erase the line. Hashtag.
That's you know,
Yeah, I like that.
If there was no line and we could just decide what our roles are in the relationship, whether you're heterosexual, homosexual, whatever, that would be ideal, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It would really take a lot of thought for many people, I think, to go into a relationship that way, because that's not what generally happens, you know.
Oh, no, I do have a thought. I think women often feel, I guess, conditioned to be submissive and subservient, because in that sexual role, they are receiving. There's not really any sort of giving in that physical way that's visually represented. And I think men also feel, because they're reaching or depositing, spelunking,
Yeah, right, whatever you want to call it.
they feel they're going somewhere.
Yeah.
And she's territory, is how it seems.
Right. Well, yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think how that plays out in
But then
lesbian
again, what woman wants
relationships.
another woman climbing up her flagpole?
I was just trying to think in lesbian relationships how that's mapped out.
Oh, good point.
You know,
Yeah, wow.
because I think it's different in each case. You know, years ago it used to be, there's the butch and the femme, right? But it's
I think maybe it's emotional
you know,
based.
yeah, I think that's a mindset maybe, and I think it's far more complicated than that. And I know I can fall into sort of a subservient kind of role because my mother would fall into that. I watched her do that. Oh, we have to make sure that, you know, he's comfortable, or she, whatever your partner, whomever your partner is, you know, that they're more comfortable. You know, you never take the last piece of something at the table. They have the choice of doing that. You never take the best part of the meal, you know, really to that degree, you know, and that was conditioned into me. I have to fight against it. I know, you know, Angela sometimes will say, take that last piece, you know, or this is the best part, it's for you, you know, and kind of push me into it. And I'm glad that she does that, you know, because not just taking, it's very easy in the past with other relationships, it had been easy for the person to just take it, you know, why not, right?
And then expect it.
Right, yes. And then if you don't feel like doing that, you start to build up resentments, because no one wants to be in that role all the time. Male, female, I don't care who it is, right? I don't think most people would choose always to be in that role. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some would.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Those fetishized people who like slavery and all that stuff in a sexual manner.
Yeah, there is some of that, maybe. Or maybe they, you know, I don't know, everyone's mind, you never know, we were saying earlier, Tricia, you never know what people are thinking or where they're coming from, you know. But it's interesting to think about, for sure. Any final thoughts?
Do you feel empowered, Wendy?
Do I do, I can't say 100% that I do, to be honest. People would probably be shocked to hear that. They'll be shocked to hear that. But it's something that I work at all the time, and it's a journey. It's a journey, for sure. I think in some areas of my life, I feel very empowered. We're all a work in progress. Yeah.
I'd say you give off like a humbled, empowered kind of vibe.
Thank you. That could be true. Well, thanks so much for participating. It was so great to see you both in person in the backyard here. I hope we'll do more of this. And coming up next, Debra Callahan from Woken Retreats. Joining me now is Debra Callahan. She saw a need in her part of Washington State for education about cannabis, particularly to women. An MS patient herself, she saw the power of women gathering for fellowship, knowledge, and healing. So she created Woken Retreats, a cannabis retreat for women. Welcome to the show, Debra.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. I ran into Woken Retreats kind of just searching through social media for something like that for women, and I was so happy to find you. So let's talk a little bit about your background, because it's very interesting to me. This episode is about women's empowerment, and it seems like from a young age you felt empowered because you were creating businesses that were successful, and you served on the city council later in your life. So did you have role models to teach you about empowerment when you were young?
I did. My mother and I didn't have a very good relationship, but I had some very strong role models that my aunts that I spent a lot of time with. I had only brothers, and so I'd spend time with the aunts that had daughters, and so they were very strong, very independent, very business-oriented women. Mm-hmm. And so they were great role models for me. And I'm very thankful that I had those kind of role models.
Yeah, because it seems like you took it to heart at a really young age. And I'm so happy to see that, because I think that frequently young girls and women don't find their voice that early on. So that's a beautiful thing that happened with you.
Thank you. I've always been independent and very volunteer oriented. I was walking for UNICEF March of Dimes back when I was in junior high. Mm-hmm. I've always been a fighter for the underdog, and cannabis is one of the biggest underdogs there is.
Isn't that the truth? And sometimes I wonder if it's because, it's the feminine plants that really give us what we need. Is somehow that rolled into what happened to it? I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
It's a male dominated world, and mm-hmm. all the plants that give us what we need are female, and they seem to want to dominate that too. Mm-hmm. And so it's time for the strong women of the world and in this industry to show the men we're not going to sit back this time. Mm-hmm. We've sat back for decades, centuries, and now we're going to be the strong role models for other young women, and we're going to empower those people to speak up at a young age.
I love that. So let's talk a little more about Woken Retreats. So you saw this need in the community, and how does Woken Retreats fulfill that need? And what you just said, empowering women, how does it do that?
Well, our focus is to educate, advocate, elevate. We want to educate as many people as we can. We want to advocate. And advocacy is no longer focusing on legalization, although that is a good, large component. We need to bring the rest of the country and the world into the knowledge we have, so we can share that and they're accepting of it. We can share a lot, but until we empower people to accept that, then it does us no good to educate people. And so I'm not here just to educate these women. I'm here to give them the empowerment to go out and share that knowledge with other women. And when the need arose, with every state in this country, we have large populated areas that are educating, advocating, elevating. And we have small rural areas that are being left totally behind. When I volunteered at Hemp Fest and all these festivals, I saw that it was still a male-dominated industry, hugely male-dominated. And I thought to myself, number one, we need to empower women. And number two, we need to get the education across the country, even in rural areas. And so we live in a very small rural area, but we have large cities around us. And it made it easier to bring those women in, and they're hungry for that knowledge. They're hungry for the fellowship and the companionship and the building up of spirits. And it's just been easy. And I would love to see Woken retreats in every state in the United States. That's my goal in the next 5 years, to have retreats in every state, because every state has women who are just thirsting for that knowledge and the companionship and the fellowship that Woken retreats can give.
I think it's an attainable goal, because you're absolutely right. In the cities, people are more accepting. You know, even here in Arkansas, the stigma is really built in to every aspect of society. But in the cities, it's a little bit easier, right? But you go out to those rural areas, and there may be women who are completely on board, but they're in the canna closet still, because they don't have a community, you know, to connect with and to learn and to work together to improve things and improve access too, you know. I think there are many, many women across the country that would really buy into this concept and model. So I'm hopeful for you and for all of us.
That's exciting.
For all of us, really.
And there's so much knowledge to be gained. The classes we teach at these retreats are everything from how to make a CBD dog biscuit for your puppy friend, to making homemade FICO so you can have your own medication, because even though they say they're pesticide free in all the legal stores, I just can't fathom that they don't have something in them that is not going to have an adverse reaction for me. And so if you're growing your own medicine, you might as well know how to make your own FICO, because then you know it's pure, it's pesticide free, it's your own.
Right. You know what's in it. You know how it was grown. Right.
And we teach classes on terpenes. Terpenes are so important in the entourage effect. I do a talk on entourage effect. We do one on grow classes. So it empowers women all across the board. It's not just, oh, here, this is cannabis and this is what it does. We go through all kinds of classes that will empower you in whatever way fits your personal need.
I love that too. Every body is different. Every person is different. So that's great.
With MS, my neighbor could have it. My sister-in-law has it. And her journey with MS is totally different than mine. Just like my friend's fibromyalgia journey is different than Seth's. So you have to know what terpenes work for you, what the entourage effect is, and how you can use it to your benefit. And you have to know how to make your own medications that are safe. And we actually do cooking classes, how to use cannabis. I made a wonderful pasta salad made with a an Italian infused dressing
Ooh,
that
yum,
people
yum.
just loved.
Uh-huh.
And another lady made baklava
Nice.
infused. That
Nice.
was wonderful.
I
So
bet.
there's a lot of ways that you can use cannabis in your life without ripping out a joint and smoking it. People
which
associate the flower with cannabis use, whether it's
Sure.
medical or recreational, and that's just not the case.
Right. Well, and there's nothing wrong with smoking a joint either, but there's just
Oh, no.
a wide range of choices, and people don't always know what all their choices are.
Exactly.
So this retreat is not really about everyone sitting around and getting super stoned for a weekend. This is a educational and empowering retreat. When I was reading about your time on the city council and how you were advocating for cannabis and instrumental in helping to make it available to people by working on the laws for the city, you've been working on this really for a long time, I think. And
I have. I've
Mhm.
been to Olympia advocating at our Capitol. I've worked on city council. I am the person that got your ability to grow medical within the city limits of Waitsburg. So, and that's still a law on the books today. No one's
Excellent.
challenged it because they know they don't want to go up against me. I was very adamant,
Mhm.
having lived with MS for 40 years and knowing how well I am because of cannabis.
Mhm.
I need to show people that it's not just some hippie in a minivan
Right.
smoking pot. I'm a mother, a wife, a grandmother, a great grandmother, and a great grandmother. And my mother, before she passed, had a great grandchild. And to me, it's important to show people we can still be human beings. We can still be all of those things as women and be cannabis users because it gives us the health to do those things.
Yes. Fantastic. So where can people find you and find Woken Retreats?
We have Woken Retreat Facebook page. We have a Facebook group. And we're working on a website right now so we can get all this information out to other states.
Wonderful.
We're traveling this year, so I'm going to put the information out as much as I can. And I hope, like I said, this year is our first year of trying to grow and bring other women from other states in our fold as a network.
I think it's great that you started with your own state in Washington State so that you could try things out and see how it worked. And it seems as though now you're in the growth mode, so it's really perfect. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining me today.
And thank you for having me.
In this segment, I'll be chatting with Lindsay Camp, one of the top 1% mortgage loan originators in America since 2018. In 2020, she was ranked number 577 in Scotsman's Guide to Women's Originators in America. Welcome to the show, Lindsay.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're here. Last time I saw you, I was closing on my house, and you were phenomenal with me. I think I had like crying jags and worries, but you really made me feel comfortable and like you really had me, and it was going to all work out. So thank you for that.
Ma'am. You're welcome.
So today we're talking about women's empowerment through the whole show. And I think finances in particular is really important for women to understand. And I'm not sure, I know for myself growing up, no one explained finances to me at all. And then you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants. And especially today, many women are kind of on their own, or they're the ones looking for a house. And I think this is something that we need to really give some advice about. So to start off, let's talk about some common mistakes maybe that women make with money. What are your thoughts about it?
I think some mistakes that are common, I mean, even the mistakes that I made is that I would buy things for my children before I paid my bills. Because my kid wanted those new shoes, and I just thought, well, I might can be late on my light bill, or I might can be late on my credit card bill because I want my kid to have the best thing in life. When in reality, it hurt me because sometimes it made me, overdrawn, or it kept my credit bills high and it kept my credit score low. And because it kept my credit score low, or I had late payments, it was hindering my ability to get more credit and do things that I needed to do in life. And my kid really didn't need the shoes that bad. He needed a house more than he needed the shoes. And my brain didn't think like that. And I think that's a mistake as a parent, or as even a single mom, that we make the mistake of trying to please our children instead of taking care of the necessities first. I think that's a big mistake.
Right. That's really good advice. And yeah, I think especially with single mom, I was a single mom for many years. And, especially in that role, we want them to be happy, and we're sometimes not looking at the big picture.
Right.
So, the shoes seem really important in the moment, but the big picture gets lost. So I think that's great advice.
Well, and I think too, if you give your children a choice, when you're living in an apartment and you're sharing a bedroom with your brother, and you said, do you want these shoes, or do you want us to be saving for you to have your own room and your own yard and your own house? And it's just the parent's mindset. And I think that's how women, especially empowering yourself, is by empowering your children to have the same dream as you. Empower your children to have the goal of wanting that car or that house or that something special, because it gives them stability. And when you give your child stability, that's when they thrive in all the other areas, right? So that's really the key. That's really the key, is in changing your mindset of your children, that they don't need the shoes as bad as they need their own room. Because once you get them their own room, they can have all the shoes in the world, because you're moving on up in the world. And that's, it's just a mindset you have to retrain, because you weren't trained that way. Right. You have to teach your children that's how it works,
Right. I think that's really important. I can't remember ever sitting down with my kids and talking about what our financial situation looked like. And I think that's really common. We think maybe they can't understand it or take it, or whatever it happens to be. But I think you're absolutely right, because the truth is always the best route, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And we're trying, just like you and I was in my 30s before I even knew how to balance a checkbook, and now I do finance for a living. So by us teaching our children the value of the dollar, which is, I work really hard, and while I want that candy or that toy or this or that, but when you say you have bills to pay, if you make your children part of it, or teach them why we have to pay the electric bill, why putting food on the table is important. I mean, take them to the grocery store and have them, say we have $50, and, say, marking up, here's how much things cost, and help them with their math. And because nobody did that with us. We had to learn the hard way,
Right.
That's really the key.
Yeah. It's a valuable lesson. What great advice. Now let's talk a little bit about creating wealth and women owning property, because I think, so when I was growing up, in the 70s, I was kind of expected I'd marry a man, and, I guess he was going to take care of it. But that really, I ended up kind of handling the finances, and I had no idea what I was doing, so I never even thought about so-called creating wealth. So what does that mean to you, and how can we help women to think about things that way?
Sure. So first, I think creating wealth starts with your ability to save. So just the simple fact of your ability to save your money, right? You start to train your brain what it means to actually create the wealth. Because if you're spending every penny, you're never going to know what that dollar means, because the more money you save, the less you spend, believe it or not. Believe it or not, the more money you have, and we'll repeat, the less money you spend. Because when you start to know the value of that dollar. Because I think, again, it goes back to your necessities and what your needs are, and trying to make yourself happy. But in the end, what really makes you happy? And I think by the goals that we have set for ourselves, and going back to the simple start of saving your money first, because as you start to save your money, you start to see where you can put it. And when you get the knowledge of where you can put your money and have a choice, right? You're not living paycheck to paycheck anymore. You have a choice. You mean I saved this money and I have a choice where I'm going to spend it. I can spend it on my kids. I can make an extra payment on something to pay it off. I can, start saving for a house. There's all kinds of things you can do, but it all starts with saving. So that's what you have to remember to do, is that you pay yourself first. You pay your bills, you pay yourself, and then you pay your kids, and you pay your vacations, and you pay. And when I pay yourself is, if all you can afford extra to pay yourself is $50, then that's a start. Because pretty soon that $50 turns into a lot more. And then when you pay off a bill, maybe you're saving to pay a bill or anything else that you have. Every little bit starts with saving. That's how you're going to empower yourself for all the other great, awesome things that are to come. Because thy saving teaches you how to do that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. So I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm trying to save, right? But I dip into that savings. And so it's not growing the way I would like it to. And it all comes back to me, right? I should be saying no, or I don't have the money for this because that savings is separate, right?
Yes.
How can you kind of get in that mindset? Because it's, when you keep dipping into it, you're not growing it, right?
Well, you need to put it somewhere that you can't touch it. You need to put it somewhere, now the hard part about putting it somewhere where you can't really touch it is you have to have a little bit of money to do that, right? You got to save, and then maybe put your money in a CD. May not earn a lot of money, but it's someplace where you take a penalty by taking your own money. Maybe your company doesn't invest in a 401k, but women, you can start investing in a 401k or an IRA without your employer. You can do it on the side. You've got great companies that are local, but maybe Edward Jones, I'm not plugging them. This is not anybody told me to say that. That's who I personally use. I started giving $100 a month. And that is really the truth. That's all I could afford. But that started with something. And then pretty soon they started investing and they started saving for me. And if I needed that money, I got to call my guy up on the phone and I got to tell him why that money is so important to me that I'm going to take it out. It's not in a savings account that I can go, withdraw from. Right. You need to put it somewhere. If you're looking to build instant growth or even long-term growth for your long-term future, for retirement and things like that, there's programs and things set up that you can do, and even through working with a financial advisor, really, because they're free. They don't get paid until you start giving them money. So it's not like you're paying them for their services. So that's something you should consider too. Right. They make money off of you, but you don't actually walk in the door and pay them every month to help you. They're just basically, earning a percentage of whatever they do. And the more money they make you, the more money they make. So it's to their benefit to do that. Okay.
Right.
But there's money market accounts, there's savings accounts, there's CDs, there's a liquid money that you can do right away, that you can put your money where you don't have to feel inclined because you got to ask permission to another human being to get your money. And sometimes that's hard because you don't have a very good, my kid, we want to do something with it. And, you really have to think hard before you go get that money. If you put it somewhere, you can't touch it.
Right. That's great advice too. Thank you. And I know I'm not alone with that. I did this year start my own IRA using Ameritrade. Actually, I'm not plugging Ameritrade either, but it's been great. And you don't have to be working for a company. Again, you're in charge. And I think having to ask, you're still in charge. You're just checking yourself. Don't you think?
You're making sure that you really need what you need the money for, right? Like you don't always need the money. You want the money, right?
Right.
But putting it away somewhere is like you don't have it. Another good thing to do is you can set up with almost every payroll will allow you to put your money in several accounts. They automatically deposit it. So another thing you should consider is that if you have a separate account that you can't touch or put it somewhere, that your paycheck, before you ever get a dollar of it, not even a penny of it to spend, put money into those accounts that are separate so that you don't actually see the money. So when you look at your paycheck, you're like, oh, I make $750 on my paycheck. You really make $850, but you're saving 100 of it. But in your mind, you don't see it. It doesn't touch it. It's just like savings. It's just like, gone. That's something else you can do, especially when you think I have an emergency. No emergency is better than your future. Let me repeat that. There is no emergency better than your future. There's not.
How many women, as they're aging, especially if they're alone or divorced or their spouse has passed, how many women end up really in difficult poverty situations,
They do. And I've been in those situations myself. I've had a husband pass away. I've been divorced. I have been a single mom. I've had to scrape from the bottoms. I've had to, figure out how I was going to do it. I will say that I was very blessed to have family who was able to, help me in my times of need, but at no time were they able to, do everything for me.
Sure.
You just have to figure it out. And here's the thing, don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. There's always something out there. There really is. And I think, sometimes people say that's easy for you to say, but if you really heard my story, you would understand where I came from and what I've had to go through to be where I'm at today. And it's a struggle. It's going to be hard. You're going to cry. It's going to be sweat. It's going to be tears. But I knew if I just kept hold of my dream, no matter what that is, and I kept believing in myself and I kept believing in my kids and I kept believing, and no matter what that is, I don't care if it, what it is, that if you just put that energy out there, you confess it, you speak it, you put that energy into the world, that, it will come back to you. It just will.
I love that. I love that. And I can say, you probably don't remember, you do so many loans, but I ran into a glitch with mine and I called you crying, right? Yes. And I think because of your life experience, you're able to really, I just felt like you understood, and I didn't know your story, but having that experience gives you a lot more understanding, I think, of people and compassion. So I think you just went through the steps you needed to be where you are now.
Yeah. And sometimes too, it's just about having a good friend. Some people don't have anybody to talk to. And even though, we're sitting here talking about women empowerment, I think the best empowerment you can give another woman is another woman's friendship. Because it's so difficult to have a really good friend that you can trust that's not trying to backstab you or talk about you. Somebody that lifts you up and tells you, hey, I don't agree with your choices. Here's what you would do. You're coming to me for my opinion, or, to tell you the truth, but also lift you up and tell you you're beautiful and you're worthy, because maybe they're not getting it at home. Maybe they don't have anybody, and they're feeling down about themselves. And I think, as we're sitting here talking about even finances and anything else we do, but I think it's friendship, because that's what empowers you, is to have that group of people who are encouraging you to always want to do more and better. And, even when you're down on yourself, if your friends go, no, you got this, girl, when you don't feel beautiful, you're like, girl, you look the same. It's all in your head. You look the same as you did yesterday, you look the same.
And especially when it's, a two-way street and women really are supporting women together, and it's, a beautiful thing. And I hope that as we all have taken a little pause this year in some way, some more than others, maybe, but it gave us a chance to really examine those relationships, think about what we want, where we're going. And so I think that a lot of positive is going to come from that. And I hope that more and more women are being supportive and not, like you said, the backstabbing that happens, it does happen, but finding your tribe.
That's exactly
so
right.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Well, and even going back to, the other things that you can do where you can put your money, there's so many programs out there that maybe women don't know are available. You have a really good job, you're paying rent somewhere. You can get loans with no money down. There's options out there. There's programs, down payment assistance programs for some home buyer programs. There are options for you, so that even if you're paying rent, if you can afford $1,000 in rent, you can afford $1,000 house payment. And
say that one again too.
If you can afford $1,000 in rent, ladies, you can afford $1,000 house payment. That is building wealth for you and your family. Nice. And so when you're talking about building wealth and you're talking about how am I going to get to the next level, you're going to buy yourself a house for free. Come to me, we will help you. And if I can't help you, we will get you to the right people. And I'm not saying I'm going to solve your problems, but I can tell you what to do to help you get there.
Yes.
And guide you and give you tools. They're free tools. And I'm going to give you the knowledge so you can empower yourself to make the right choice for yourself. But if you don't have the tools, you don't know what to do, right? If you don't have the tools, you don't know.
That's always better, when you teach and explain, and that person becomes empowered, that's the best, right? And then they can probably empower someone else,
Yes. That's the best part of my job. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. Wonderful. Why is it so important for women to own property? I think many women think if they're by themselves, owning property may not be within their reach, which you just explained it is, right? It could be. But why is it so important? Why is that part of wealth creation?
I mean, first of all, I would consider women in a minority group, overall, as far as, look, as far as what we're thinking of what we're capable of. And I think that it empowers another woman, in my opinion, if I am living on a street full of women and only one of them owns their home, and every day she walks out, she gets to wear her blue dress and she gets to paint her house whatever color she wants to, and she gets to do whatever she wants to her house. And every week she comes and she has a fancy dinner in her house and her colors with the bright whatever, and she gets to do it just like she wants. And all these other women are jealous. Well, you know what? It's capable. But what that one woman has done is she has told every other woman in that street that she can do it, that it's possible. Yes. And that's why owning some property is possible, because it tells not just you that you can do anything and own property, and it's building wealth for your children, okay? Your future, not just for yourself, because you're leaving something behind at some point, but what are you doing that for? If it's not for you, maybe it's for your animals, maybe it's for your family, your mom, whatever it is. There's somebody out there who's going to get what you got, what you're earning, but it is a mindset. It's the mindset of the people around you and the other women who are looking up to you, because I don't care if you are the lowest of the low, somebody thinks you're high. Somebody is higher. It doesn't matter. You can be in the pits, but somebody wants what you have, because there's always somebody out there wanting what you have, but that's a good thing sometimes, right? So it empowers you to have a mindset that you can do anything. And when you know you can do anything and you have that mindset, then that's where the sky's the limit. It's just changing the mindset. That's why it's important.
Yes. I always say, change your mind, change your life.
Yes.
And that fits in perfectly. Thank you so much for joining me. Where can people get in touch with you? So you can reach me several different ways, but you can go to my website, and it's my name. It's spelled a little differently, but it's LYNSEY camp.com. You can find anything about me there. You can research me. You can Google me. I'm the only Lindsay Camp out there. So if you did Google me, there's not anybody else with my spelling, so it would not be hard to find me. But if you'd like to call me, you can call me at 479-802-5039, and you can reach me pretty much anytime. We'd be happy to help you. Excellent. Thanks so much for being here. You're so welcome.
Miss Teddy here for your Food is Medicine Minute. Women in power, empowering women. The most things women can do to empower themselves is to take power over their food. Take power over the way we shop at the grocery stores. The grocery stores have seemed like they are forcing us to shop in the middle of the aisles, and that we are being forced to buy foods that we really don't need. So to empower yourself, to empower your health, make sure that you empower it by using and choosing the proper foods to bring your body back to the way it is supposed to be. Shop on the outsides of the grocery stores. Don't let the grocery stores tell you how to feed your family and your children. Empowerment means to take care of your family, take care of your health, take care of your children. And the best way to do that is to use food as medicine. So for more information on food as medicine, please feel free to contact me, Miss Teddy, at Learn From Teddy on Facebook. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Brian Nickel, your cannabis expert for CannabisExpertMD.com, with a music and cannabis pairing for the Wendy Love Ed Show. I think this is her first episode of the new season. Is that right, Mr. Producer?
I believe so. Anyway, for us, it is ours. So, yeah, it's going to be real fun to be doing.
Well, these are always fun to do. That's for sure. Yeah. Wendy's musical guest this week is Fanta Vibes. Now, Fanta is a neo-soul artist. She was born in the West African Republic of Senegal and raised in Worcester, Massachusetts. Fanta is a self-taught musician. She's started her musical career 3 short years ago. In that period of time, she's already released a couple of EPs and a bunch of singles. I listened to her track entitled Black Queen. It's a very nicely produced song with Fanta's vocals layered over a really smooth electric piano and a liquid percussion track behind that. Really, the neo-soul term describes the sound of this track quite nicely. For this, I was looking for a relatively chill strain that won't leave you totally stuck in the couch, though. So based on the cannabinoid and terpene profiles to me, as always, I selected Natural State Medicinal's White Widow. It's a potent strain at 18.3% THC with a little bit of trace CBD, as we do see in most strains. Looking at the terpenes, as I always do, to figure out the headspace this is going to put you in. White Widow does not disappoint. It's potent at 2.38% total terpenes. It's a bit unusual in that it is terpinolene dominant at 1.08%, with beta-caryophyllene following up at 0.46%. Limonene and myrcene are tied at 0.25%. A good showing of pinene at 0.18%, with humulene rounding it out at 0.12%. This White Widow strain, it should be a relatively relaxing strain that really won't put you in the couch, though. There's enough of the pinene and limonene to give you a lift, with the other terpenes providing a nice layer of relaxation over that. This should be really a good strain to enjoy with lovely Fanta's lyrics, lovely voice, and her neo-soul music. For more information on all things medical cannabis, check us out at CannabisExpertMD.com. We're also available at Cannabis Expert MD at YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Now I present to you Fanta Vibes with Black Queen.